How you feeling today? The injury update. You're okay.
Yeah.
You look a million times better than you did yesterday.
The drugs are working better.
Perfect.
So
Perfect. For those that are watching on youtube.com/1080am The Fan, our producer Jeff Rust is in the building wearing his Baby Billy t-shirt
Holla
today.
at your boy.
Holla at your boy. You're wearing your Baby Billy Bobble Bunkers.
Yeah, this is a brand new one. You sent me a screenshot of this, and I was like, ooh, must
Yeah.
have.
If you do not know who Baby Billy is, Righteous Gemstones
Oh, yes.
on HBO Max.
You should get yourself caught up.
It is one of the funniest shows.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
It is curveball after curveball for you.
Yes.
And it is a little blue.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, if you get offended easily, you do not watch it.
No.
But it is a very funny show.
Yes.
And John Goodman is in it. Danny McBride is in it. I always forget the name of the actor who is on your shirt right now, but he is in it.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yep.
Walton Goggins.
That's his name.
yes. When I said Goggins the other day about something, you looked at me like I cussed at you.
Yeah.
And you were like,
Mm-hmm. I still feel that way.
Yeah.
It's a name that really sneaks up on you.
Yeah, Walton Goggins.
great.
But it's a fantastic show, and we are all together here on this glorious Football Friday.
Indeed.
Which Danny is saying will have basketball in it. And for that, I say, I do approve today. There is basketball-worthy things to talk about on a Football Friday in November. What the hell are we doing?
Blazers Lakers.
Blazers-Lakers today.
In-season tournament, baby.
Still don't get it. Still not into that.
Not fired up.
I mean, it's just hard. It's hard for me.
It's fair.
It's hard for me. It's like if it was like, hey, the Blazers have a chance to win the in-season tournament, I'd be like,
Hey, they go up, they win tonight. They're 2-1 in the tournament.
okay,
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah. So they need a win to have a chance to move on to the knockout stage, basically.
Yep, 100%. They
Yes.
lose tonight, it's over.
Okay, and they're playing the Lakers,
So
which will have
Joe
AD.
Burrow's season.
Oh man. I mean, that was sad to watch. That whole game, that was just a pit of misery.
It was sadness personified.
Pit of misery, because I know you and I were going opposite each other in our picks for that game. You picked Cincinnati. I picked Baltimore.
I chose poorly.
Well, but at the beginning of the game, I was like, oh, man, I thought I was screwed when Mark Andrews went down, and Mark Andrews done for the year.
Yeah, that.
Ugh.
I know we were sporting way too hard, but also we need to talk about that tackle and how people are upset about it. I'm the hip drop tackle. It's like, oh, for the love of God, we cannot either let people hit people or deal with this.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the part about it. You cannot ban that form of tackle because you have banned going high, right? And so now you're asking to tackle low, to wrap up low, but when you are behind a guy and you're dragging a guy down, like, how can you can't just let go?
No, because not only that, you can't go high and like grab high because then it's a horse collar.
And we've had an adjustment. I always said, and this was about 8 years ago. I was going to say it takes a full cycle for kids coming all the way up through high school, through college, and then getting into the NFL for everybody to fully change and for it to be the mainstay of how people tackle. We're to that point now. And it is part of that tackle, and it's not truly fundamentally sound, but you teach to wrap up and then do like the gator roll, right? Well, it won't be textbook every single time, but when you are training guys to attack the midsection like that and go from the hip, these sorts of wrap-ups are going to happen. It's unfortunate, and it sucks, man.
It does. Like, you don't want to see it. I'm not trying to say Mark Andrews' injury is like, shut up about it, but it's like, it's saying,
awful.
I'm saying shut up about the tackle.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is a violent contact sport, and every single person that plays the game, particularly at the professional level, knows what could happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's really tough. So Andrews goes down, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm hosed.
Yeah.
There goes my pick. Then Lamar Jackson gets dinged. I'm like, oh, God, now I'm really screwed.
He comes out with a thumbs up, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah.
And then Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty.
Now, we're going to have to talk a lot about this because there's the gambling community is very mad right now.
They should be.
They're very mad. And the Bengals might get in a bit of trouble for this.
They should. I mean, quite honestly, they should. And
Yeah.
look, college football, all the college football coaches that want to guard injuries like they have the nuclear
secrets.
secrets.
Yeah.
No, that is going to stop because there's way too much money. And I don't know, like Dave Portnoy, Barstool guy, he says a lot of these things, and I don't know what to believe and what not to believe. But he said that he put $100K down on the Bengals, and he goes, if I would have had any inkling that Joe Burrow had an injury, I would not have done that. And it's like, dude, okay, first of all, that's your problem. You're betting $100,000, right? That's on you. But it is also, with the legalization of gambling being so widespread, no, you have to be honest on the injury reports. And that's why the NFL has injury reports to begin with, even before betting was legalized, right? That is part of the whole protocol and process. Is even when betting was illegal, you have the injury reports for that. College, they're coming down your way real quick too, and this is slippery slope. But before any of that though, like Joe Burrow is done for the year, man.
Yeah. That joins a list of starting quarterbacks. We got basically a quarter of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL have had season-ending injuries.
Is that true? Is that really true?
Yeah, what are we at to now? So I got the list here. Burrow, Rodgers, Cousins, Watson, Jones, Richardson. So 6. So 5th.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Mac Jones' brains hurt
Yeah.
all season. Yeah. There's some data to back up. I've been saying like Mac Jones isn't wholly to blame.
Oh.
They have one of the worst win rates in pass protection in the NFL.
Ooh.
And they have one of the worst separation rates in the entire NFL from their receivers.
So you're not getting it on either side.
your protection's bad and your receivers aren't getting open. That seems like an issue.
We are sportsing way too hard right now.
Yeah, we are. What do you want to talk about then?
Have you watched that show Reacher?
Oh,
On
yeah, I've seen
Amazon?
a little bit of Reacher. Yeah.
Really fun. I feel like the guy who wrote it for me.
Wait, hold on.
It has all of the dumb platitudes that
let me see if we're thinking of the same show, because in my mind,
Alan Richardson.
Yeah. Yep.
Very large man.
Yeah, he plays Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
That is a good show. Is there a new season out?
It's supposed to be coming out here very soon. That's why I watched it. I was,
You went back on it?
Well, no, I hadn't watched it yet, and I had a couple days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
so
was what I threw on while I was laying in bed.
I like that show. So if you don't know, it's based on a book. And it's a guy who's former military, goes to a small town in Georgia, uncovers a bunch of corruption in the city, and goes on a one-man wrecking crew to solve that, correct?
Vigilante justice.
And then gets on a bus. Now, season
2 starts December 15th.
Okay, so season 1 ended with him getting on the bus and leaving town, right? Yeah. So does he? In the books, he just goes to another town.
I think so.
Kind of finds the same
Yeah.
thing. Dude needs to stop finding these towns, right?
I kind of like it.
Okay. I mean, he just needs to, find an island somewhere.
I mean, I'd be okay with him like landing in like Portland adjacent.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Wouldn't do anybody any wrong here.
Just cleaning things up. Yeah, that is a good show.
It's a fun show.
It's
It plays to the lowest common denominator, but not in a totally patronizing way.
So you said this show was made for me, and you just said it plays to the lowest common denominator.
Oh yeah, no, like
I like that. I like that self-awareness by
No,
you. That is
no.
that is some top tier self-awareness.
like without seeing the show, I knew what was going to happen.
Yes, me.
Yeah, very much. Like, okay, I know he was going to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And he would do it in a way that was almost exactly that. And I'm like, oh, this is written for me. I like this. I like this. I can turn my brain off and really enjoy this. I knew like a question would get asked, and I'd like kind of like muttered under my breath, and it would be exactly right would be the answer. And my wife would just look at me like, "You're disgusting."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh no, this is for me."
Okay.
100%.
Good.
Big dumb ape.
Has anybody else watched the Sly documentary, Stallone on Netflix?
I have.
yet?
My wife
Yeah.
sped through that one.
Yeah, I did it in a couple of parts. And at the beginning I was like, wow, like this I have a brand new light of viewing Sylvester Stallone. At the end I was like, this was a pretty self-serving movie that you made about yourself.
Oh no way! A doc
Yeah.
on Netflix that was pretty self-serving.
That was like made by him, about him.
We've
and
got to
for him.
stop doing this.
Yeah,
We've got to like
the Beckham one is good though. Also self-serving.
serving. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the closest thing we've gotten, I think, to anything that's remotely viable with being mildly self-serving has been the Wrexham doc. Don't get me wrong; it makes them a ton of money. and it's very self-serving in the sense of like it paints them in the best light.
But they don't hide behind it.
They don't hide behind it, and they do show the bad.
Yeah.
Like they have gone into that. Like the absolute. Like, I just finished this season, and it was incredible. I'm really interested to see.
If you don't know, Welcome to Wrexham, FX, Rob McElhenney, Ryan Reynolds, they bought a Welsh soccer club.
The oldest soccer club.
Yeah. In the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
or in Europe, I should
Europe,
say.
yeah.
But they were in the non-English football league. The first year was them failing to get up and how much money they pumped into it, and they're losing money. The second season is about their second year to trying to get promotion, and basically it's the make or break year.
Because if they don't, they're basically going to sell the team.
But the second season, they didn't go into just the soccer part of it because they did that in season one. They
Yeah.
went into the personal stories, and oh my goodness.
There's so many. You got a player has a kid that's born with autism, and how much it ripped him apart.
Yep.
And how guilty he felt about that, and how he ultimately accepted it. Another couple who were a partner has a brain tumor.
Yep.
It's like it just rips you apart at the seams.
But they weave it into their fan base too,
Yeah.
and the people in the community that they are going through the same things. It's really well done, and it's two Hollywood guys that own a soccer club that
Are very good at like catering to you. Like
and they're
there's-
hemorrhaging money, so they're like, we need a way to make money. Guess what they're doing? Making a lot of money.
that doc is crushing. And the thing about it is, but I really want to see if they're going to be. Can they set the model for this going forward? Can they be truly honest? Can they be self-deprecating? Because they dealt with a bit of a crisis in the doc where that player Paul Mullen had a political note on his boots, and they didn't shy away from it.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they mentioned it in the doc. Now, it didn't have a ton of attention, but both the owners came on, talked about it directly, and what they had to do and how they went about it and the process behind it. And I was like, this is good.
Yeah.
Like, can we do this more in docs?
Well, there's also the element of how many of those blunders do we have in sports where an athlete makes a political stance and then the team handles it absolutely horrifically and doesn't support the player, does in half supports both sides of the argument. Whereas they said, no, we support our player, we support our guy. He can make those statements. Just don't take your pictures in our stadium.
Yeah.
And they just made it that clear. Like, don't do it.
You can't, not you, not anybody. Nobody can co-opt the brand to do this.
Yeah. But hey, you want to make those? We'll support you and 100% with what you want to do.
Whatever you want to say, go ahead and say it.
Even if there's a guy sitting next to you in the locker room who has a different one, we're going to support him too.
Yeah.
Like, but that's not our job to make your political statements.
Yes.
You can do that. Just don't do it in our locker room or on our field.
Honestly, it's brilliant. It's probably the best stance I've seen any team in any sport take on it.
Well, here's
It's
the
not
thing.
that hard.
Here's the thing with like any of the political statements or any of social statements that players make is like they're humans too, and no matter what, somebody is going to be mad. Somebody's going to be mad. Like that's why they're making that statement. So if you can just get past that somebody's going to be mad, and the team can just separate like, hey, he is his own person. He can do his own thing. It's not how the team feels because the team doesn't have feelings because it's a team. It's an organization.
It's wonderful. I love it.
Let's move on.
Look, there's been a couple organizations, not to dive into the political of it all, but what's going on in Israel right now. You've had some organizations take staunch support, and you've had some organizations not say a word. Let me just go ahead and say, sports organizations, you don't need to take a stance on this.
Don't need to take a stance.
You're a basketball, football, baseball, hockey team.
Yeah, it's like
You don't need to say anything.
You know what? You know what I think our football team's going to do? I think our football team here is going to solve 3,000 years of crisis.
Go, just shut up. Shut up. I would say the same thing to people on Twitter about that stuff. Look, you can voice your opinion, you can say whatever you want, but look, man, you don't always have to say something.
Yeah, there we go. There we are. All right.
There you go.
Let's sports now.
Now,
Let's
see, look at that.
Can we sports again?
Yeah, we did. We can. We anti-sports for just long enough.
All right. Look, I have a question.
Go on.
On a Football Friday, where do you go from here? after what happened last night. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. my arm has let me down. What just happened?
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out he has got a torn ligament in his right wrist. He is done for the year. Joe Burrow said that he knew that it was significant when it happened. He thought he was just going to be able to tape it up and go. Was just unable to do it. But if the question now moving forward is, you mentioned all of the other injuries that have occurred across the NFL. The Bengals are now 5-5 on the year. At what point, like, where's their season at right now? Are you just fold it in and go, or do you try to scrap a quarterback together? Because, like, who do you go and get at this point?
There's nobody left.
Are you going, like, Deshaun Watson goes down, and apparently, like, Joe Flacco's numbers being called. How far down on this phone tree are we going to go here to get quarterbacks in where your season is done, right? I mean, that loss was a massive one for the Cincinnati Bengals just based on they had a slow start. And everything when you have a slow start, and we talked about this at the beginning of the year, is predicated on you have zero margin for error. Their error is gone.
Do you want me to go down the list?
Yeah.
Give you some names?
Yeah.
So
of who's available?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Currently on the non-retired list, so legally still available. Matt Ryan, Tom Brady,
who is doing broadcasting. Tom Brady, no.
Colt McCoy,
no.
Joe Flacco, who's being called here, Nick Foles,
okay,
Chase Daniel,
okay,
Trevor Siemian, Jeff Driscoll, Brett Rippon, Will Greer,
oh my gosh,
John Wolford,
oh my gosh,
Trace McSorley,
okay,
Matt Barkley, who is on a practice squad, I believe, right this second.
He's in New York.
Yeah,
Giants.
They just called him back up. So, but he's still available because he's on a practice squad, so you can still pluck him up technically if you want to make him an actual rostered quarterback. Jake Fromm, Jake Luton.
Okay, like that list is done.
Yeah, it's like that's quite literally who's available.
Oh, Colin Kaepernick too. Well, what? Don't laugh. I mean, his name will pop up again.
Jesus.
But I think what you do, in all honesty, is in this situation you go the route of Chase Daniels, who is old and washed, but is just a surly veteran who will just try to help Jake Browning along as much as he can. Like you have to go and find one of those guys who isn't trying to make a name for himself, is just a healthy body in case something happens to Jake Browning. Like that is where you go. And like the injuries at the quarterback position this year they're staggering, and everybody has been just dropping. Hell, Carson Wentz is on the Rams, for goodness sake.
Carson's not even on here.
Yeah, because he is a LA Ram because of the injury to Matthew Stafford. Now Stafford's going to be back, and it's like, well, is he going to want his way out and then find another team because he still wants to find a way to play? This is crazy.
Did we bring up the Red Rifle?
Andy Dalton?
Yeah.
Isn't he still active?
I don't know where he is.
I
could not tell you where Andy Dalton is right now.
I could have swore he's with the Panthers, isn't he?
No, apparently it looks that way.
Yeah, he's with the Panthers. Yeah, he's coaching up Bryce.
When they when Bryce Young went down for a game, but Andy Dalton started for him. Yeah. No, it's all coming back to me now. He's actually started games this year in the NFL. Holy guacamole.
It's so weird that we're in this time where quarterback play has never been better, but also the backup quarterback pool guys aren't – there's no longer the 30-plus-year-old journeyman backup. Guys just hang it up.
That's true.
You don't see the Fitzmagics that hang around forever, the Testaverdes, there's just not a ton of those guys anymore.
Yeah, I think they do exist, but they're not. What we have is so many flameouts that are spectacular that those guys aren't the guys hanging around.
Yeah.
Like the guys that, like Andy Dalton and Matt Barkley are the exception to the rules, where like they are the guys that were highly drafted, didn't pan out because you want
Dalton panned out.
You want your backup to be anonymous. Yeah, he's just hanging on.
Yeah, but I mean,
Andy Dalton is really good.
You're not even getting like the hang-on guys anymore.
Yeah. But here's a question for Joe Burrow now. 2020, 10 games. ACL. 16 games in 2021, 16 games in 2022, 10 games in 2023. He's gone 10, 16, 16, 10. Two very significant injuries, too. And this one,
the knee is
risk,
obviously the one that, I don't think he's injury prone with the exception of the knee.
No.
The wrist, I mean, it's just.
That's what happens
That
when you
happens.
beat them all to hell.
I guess.
All right. 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Ford text line. We've got a very special guest coming up next. He is a Heisman Trophy winner. He is the leader of men for the Touchdown Radio Network, where we will be having their Michigan-Maryland game, which has a lot of intrigue. He won't be on the call for that, but he's still going to join us next. Gino Torretta has got a very special day, and he wanted to join the program thanks to our good friend Greg Glover from 94.7. He joins us next. First is Russ with SportsCenter.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, both the Ducks and Beavers looking for wins this weekend as their final Pac-12 meeting looms next week with a trip to the Pac-12 championship still in play. Number 6 Ducks, 24.5-point favorites in Tempe against the Sun Devils. 1 o'clock kick on Fox. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 7 a.m. Number 11 Beavers hosting the undefeated number 5 Washington Huskies. Oregon State are 2-point favorites in the 4:30 kick on ABC. In the NFL, Bengals head coach Zach Taylor says Joe Burrow will miss the rest of the season with a torn ligament in his wrist that will likely need surgery. The team will stick with Jake Browning as the starter. With Deshaun Watson out for the season, ESPN reporting the Browns looking to add a third quarterback and are bringing in Joe Flacco for a workout. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson questionable with a hamstring injury Sunday night against the Broncos. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at SpiritMountain.com.
Do it every morning. Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, there's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus in President State where lawful to wager. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. First online real money wager only $5 pregame money line wager required. First online real money wager only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700 visit KSGamblingHelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Help is here. Visit gamblinghelpma.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
I'm George McCoy with Warren Allen, Attorneys at Law. I love fall and football, but leaves, rain, and kids returning to school can be a dangerous combo. Drive safe, but if you're injured in an accident, call me, George McCoy, to get what you deserve. Online at warrenallen.com.
Audi Wilsonville offers unmatched service to help you find the perfect car for your lifestyle. Check out their selection of cars and SUVs you can drive home today. And if you can't find the perfect Audi for you, Audi Wilsonville can build your dream ride. Online at AudiWilsonville.com.
Imagine if you could charge your electric vehicle at the places you already love to eat, shop, and play. Whether you're at the movies, on your weekly grocery trip, or running errands at your local mall, Volta EV charging stations are built around your day-to-day and located in your community and nationwide. All you have to do is check in, plug in, and go about your day. It's EV charging made convenient. Download the Volta app to find your new favorite place to charge.
Some people just know that the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not one based on the guy in post-game traffic watching the post-game highlights while trying to make a left turn out of the very busy post-game parking lot. Why would you pay a rate based on anyone else? Get a rate based on you with DriveWise and the Allstate app.
Not available in California, subject to terms and conditions. Some states' participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, a rate could increase with high-risk driving. Safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This Thanksgiving at Total Wine & More, find bourbons and Cabernets that you adore. Our helpful guides are so friendly and nice. So many bottles to try at the lowest price. So gather with friends as you sit down.
There's a whole cloud around that, and we'll probably get to that at some point with him today, but that will be on 9:10 a.m. But this is a little bit of a different visit because our next guest is the 1992 Heisman Trophy winner, a man who threw for over 7,000 yards during his time at the University of Miami, was an All-American, 7th overall pick in the NFL draft, and now he has the honor of getting his number retired by the U. Gino Torretta, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, but you moved up my pick by about 7 rounds.
Oh, sorry, seventh round pick. Sorry, seventh overall pick.
I would have loved to have been the 7th pick. Then I'd have a few more shekels in my pocket.
But how cool is this, though? You're getting your number retired at the U this weekend, and that has got to be something that I would have figured that your number was already up there for quite some time, probably back when they were playing in the Orange Bowl, the number was up there. But what does this mean to you to be in that exclusive company of having your number retired at the University of Miami?
Well, it's a tremendous honor. It's only the 5th jersey, retired by the school. It's going to be great to see. I request they're going to do it at halftime. So I requested any guy I played with from 88 to 92 to come down on the field. So it'll be a bunch of teammates, probably some I haven't seen in a while, that all were a part of it. It's like you made our teams better. Without team success, you can't have individual success. And it's just, it's humbling to be recognized by the school this long after. I'm glad I'm still alive, like he said, because unfortunately I've had some teammates already pass on. So it's a humbling honor.
Gino, what was it like when they kind of told you what was going to happen for you as far as, going through that process and letting you know you were going to be one of those 5 numbers up there?
Well, it's just, when I first heard, it was funny because the athletic director, Dan Coach, called me over to his office in the summer, and I'd go over there and I seriously, I was like, well, why are you asking me? I can't go back and play anymore. Yes. It's a tremendous honor. And then when we started getting into the details of it, I just said, listen, none of these guys of the other 4 would have had their jerseys retired without great teams, teammates, coaches, and everything that this community did to support us. We were undefeated in the Orange Bowl for 5 years. We were 25-0. We were 55-5 in 5 years. That takes a lot of people, and it's not just me. And I wanted, those other people recognized as well and to be there with me because, no matter if they were on the scout team or, hell, I was on the scout team making them better, everything kind of worked out, and it was a great time. And, they need to be recognized as well. So it's just, it's awesome. In these schools, heck, you guys see it. I see broadcasting a game. it's like the amount of duplicate numbers, and the schools don't like retiring numbers anymore. I don't know how we did it when I was in school. We didn't have duplicate numbers, but apparently everybody wants to wear the same jersey in college now.
So what happens to your number that it's now being used? Do you just get to rip it off the guys at halftime when they're walking in and say no more?
So they created a patch. So there's two players, an offensive guy and a defensive tackle and a receiver that are wearing 13 now. So now there's going to be a patch on their number. It says my name 88 to 92, and so if they continue wearing 13, it's going to be on there. And then as soon as they graduate, the number gets retired, won't be used. Unless, some hot shot like Dan Marino comes in and says, I want number 13, or and Mario Cristobal or whoever the head coach is in 25 years says, hey, this kid really wants to go to Miami, but he will only go if he can wear 13. So then I have to, tell them that they can wear that at that point in time. So,
something that's really cool about your story in getting to that point is you were part of 2 national championship teams, 89 and 91. And the first one you were sitting on the bench for, and it was wait your turn. I
started 4 years. I started 4 games that one. So
four games of that.
I don't know if there's
season?
Another Heisman Trophy winner that started in 2 seasons of a national championship.
The last 4 of that one behind Craig Erickson, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I started. He broke his hand in week 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I started 4 games in the middle of that year. So, had a not as big a role as starting for all 12 and 91, but, that backup quarterback is pretty important at some point in time. You don't want him to be, but
well, and that's what I was going to ask is that in those early years, like the Heisman, winning a Heisman Trophy, being the dude, and throwing for 3,000 yards in a national championship season, like that is the highlights that everybody talks about. But do you have memories from those early days where you were sitting there and you're not the guy and you are waiting your turn and saying, we don't see that anymore with the era of the portal, the transfer portal now and all that. Like, it's hard for guys to wait their turn. And, what was kind of a lasting memory that you have where, you're sitting here, your number 13 is going to go up and it's going to be retired this weekend. But of those early years where maybe you're sitting there going, all right, it's going to be a long wait in this line.
Well, I would say this. So, my redshirt year, obviously you're not going to play. In my second year, I got a chance to start. And my second start, I broke the school record for passing. I threw for 468 yards, threw for more yards in a game than Kozar, Testaverde, Walsh, Craig Erickson, Jim Kelly, everybody. So then I start 2 more games, and I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh man, I'm never going back to the bench. I'm going to start 4 years here at Miami, and I'm going to win the Heisman Trophy. You know what I mean? You think of all the things that could happen, and then we lost to Florida State. I went back to the bench, but there's no question. I mean, I thought as we were ending the '89 season where we won a national championship, I'm like going, well, I mean, do I transfer somewhere else? Mm-hmm. But back in those days, you had to sit out a season. The best opportunity, or the best opportunity I had to transfer would have been somebody that recruited me out of high school. Well, the guy that recruited me out of high school and that offered me was Dennis Erickson at Wazoo, and he's now my head coach at Miami. So, I would have had to, pre-transfer portal, I would have had to, I guess, build a relationship with some other coach and just say, hey, here's my film. Can I come there? But I'm going to have to sit out a year. I'm like, hell, I might as well sit the bench at Miami. Yeah. 1 year. I got a better chance of winning a national championship there than anywhere else. So I try to tell these kids now, listen, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and sometimes it takes, some time to sit there, and you may be ready to play right this second, but with this transfer portal and all that stuff, you don't see a lot of that kind of commitment, and guys just sticking to their original school. So my story might not have ended out the same way if it was in today's day and age, because I really didn't have an opportunity to move anywhere without sitting out a year.
Gino, you played on a team that featured a guy like Warren Sapp. So when you get everybody back together when guys come together for moments like this. What's a story that pops up in the room that everybody just kind of just immediately just comes to mind for everyone?
Well, I mean, you know, you're Northwest. Cortez Kennedy was a JUCO guy when I came, same year. I mean, just, you know, his dominance. Russell Maryland was a couple years older than me, and then Sapp had the best hands of anybody on our team, and that includes my wide receivers. I mean, he came in as a 260-pound tight end, ran 4.8, and was legit. And I tried to get him to pull his red shirt. I'm like going, he can start at tight end right now. But Carmelowitz and Ogeron, our D-line coaches, are like, no, he's moving to D-line. But, you know, I just think of, you know, all the stories before. I'll give you a great story, I would say, and this was when I wasn't starting. At the end of we played in the Cotton Bowl in 1990. We ended up beating Texas like 46-3. And there was an offensive lineman they had, Stan Thomas, talking all kinds of smack because Russell Maryland won the Lombardi. And he's literally in the paper saying, tell Russell to bring the Lombardi of the game. I'm going to take it from him during the game. Okay, so he's going this. And Russell, like his nickname was Mr. Conscious, like nicest guy in the world. Like you would, you know what I mean? You want your daughter to marry the guy. I mean, like it was amazing. He was so docile, and he'd get on the field and just kick people's butt. So the games in Texas, now we'd normally go playing for a national championship. We're not playing for a national championship. Our athletic director at the time told us we were going to go play the highest ranked team. We could. Well, the highest ranked team was Georgia Tech at 2. And we didn't go to the Citrus Bowl because we went to the Cotton Bowl because it was more money for the school. So right now we're pissed because we're at 3 and we're playing 4 instead of playing number 2 to try to get a share of the championship. Well, it's like ice storm, just horrible weather in Texas. And guys were pissed. I mean, we're used to the Orange Bowl. We're taking a booze cruise and, you know what I mean? It's sun, fun, and all this stuff, right? And guys were pissed. And the night before the game, we get in a team meeting, and literally, I mean, guys started, you know, Russell started getting fired up. And then it was like there was some bad words talked about the city of Dallas. Then Kevin Williams, who played for the Cowboys, Jesse Armstead from Dallas, there's like 8 guys from Dallas on the team. Well, you know that shirt says "Don't mess with Texas." Like guys from Texas believe that stuff, and they literally there was almost a brawl amongst our team the night before the game. Like the Texas guys against everybody else wanted to fight, and I'm sitting there, I'm like going, "Good Lord, they are going to get destroyed tomorrow." I mean, this is going to be awful. And Robert Bailey, one of our DBs, he ended up playing like 15 years in the league. He goes, "I'm going to run down on kicks," because big games, starters were like, "Put me in on special teams." When I played, and Robert Bailey goes, "I'm going to run down on the opening kick and I'm going to knock the guy out." You know, and you're thinking, "Yeah, this guy's smoking." You know what I mean? Whatever. I'll be god darn, he didn't run down. He literally decleated their return guy, KO'd the guy on the field, knocked the guy out, needed to be wheeled off, done with the game. And it was on from there. I mean, so that was just kind of the attitude we had back then. But that always is kind of, because I was scared of my teammates the night before the game.
you know, that story though kind of encapsulates like what a football team is though, right? I mean, you're a guy from Northern California. You're a Bay Area guy, and you go down to Miami. You got guys from Texas, and kind of that melting pot that you can get in a locker room. You can't replicate that in any other place, because in football you got 100 guys in the locker room, man. In those stories can be so wild in variance from the docile times to where you're trying to rip each other's throats out. That time was a rallying cry, right? Was there another game that you remember where it was like, all right, we're all pulling in the same direction, and you remember it was kind of that us against the world mentality that we know from the You documentary that was on ESPN?
Oh yeah, I don't know about any. I mean, literally every game we thought, it was whether it was Florida State, whether it was Penn State. I mean, we always went out there and were like, hey, everybody's rooting against us but us. And I think it was, that helps fuel you. That helps fuel your preparation. It helps fuel, how hard you're going to work in practice. It helps fuel during the game. But there's no question. And I would agree. There's nothing like, you get thrown in a locker room with 100 guys, 105 guys from all over the world, all over the country. And, guys, totally different backgrounds. And you know what? You can fight like your family, but you're always family and always pulling the same rope. And that's why it just, to me, is, especially college football, is like, man, there's absolutely nothing better than that, because you grow up. You talk about Warren Sapp. I mean, he was a little pup when I was when I was leaving. And he still calls me my quarterback because I gave him a national championship for his freshman year in '91. So those are the kinds of things, and you grow up together. You turn most of it turned 18 together and became adults together. And no, it's a lot of great memories, and it's just it's always that's kind of that X factor with any team. Yeah. To win a national championship. It's like all these teams that are in the top 20 have great coaches, they have great staffs, they have great support. But it's like, are you going to do that little bit of extra during the week where Saturday it's going to show up and you're going to win the game?
Gino, kind of pivoting to what's going on in the college football world right now, what the hell do you make of everything that's going on with Michigan? The sign stealing, the way it's been looked at. Let me back that up a little bit. First of all, are you okay with how they went about gathering other team signs?
I'm not, because as a rule, you can't go to other teams' games, outside of. I mean, you get game film, so you can break down game film. Now, during a game, an actual game, you're going to try to steal signals. You're going to, Warren Sapp goes, listen, come on, we're not in chemistry class or physics class. Yellow 80, what's the L? That means they're going to the left. Green 90, you know what I mean? That means they're going to the right. So you get little cues like that during a game. But to be able to go into a game, and, if a guy's looking at the sidelines and he sees, I don't know, some picture of the Boston Red Sox logo and he knows that play, I mean, that's a tremendous advantage. I mean, from as a player, now they're saying the players didn't know, but if the players didn't know, the coaches see that and just say, hey, think of this. Remember this as we prepared. And then they do it, and they're like, man, coach is right on today, So I don't, because there's enough footage being exchanged where you can prepare to play your opponent. How the NC2As, I guess it's more the Big Ten, because the NC2A is just kind of sitting on their hands with everything. They don't want to get sued regardless of whatever decision they make. But there must be, like I said, before, there's some fire somewhere, because when people start losing their jobs, they must have some information that we're not going to see, and I don't know if we're ever going to see, all of the details.
Well, we have the game. It's Michigan heading to Maryland to take on the Terrapins at the Touchdown Radio Network. Brett Dolan and Sage Rosenfeld's going to be on the call. You're not going to be there, but you have bigger fish to fry as you're going into the Hall of Fame, man. What an honor it is, and or not the Hall of Fame. You're getting your number retired as 10th-ranked Louisville heads down to Miami, man. Gino, thank you so much for taking some time with us, and congratulations again.
Yeah, congrats,
because
Gino.
it's what an accomplishment. It's an awesome honor, and it just goes even further on your resume, man. It's really cool.
I appreciate it, guys.
There he is, Gino Torretta, as you got Touchdown Radio Network. He's usually on the call. Mm-hmm. He probably wants to be on that Michigan-Maryland call with all the drama that's going on, but it's got Brett Dolan and Sage Rosenfeld's on the call. He's going to be getting his number retired at Hard Rock Stadium.
There's only 5 guys that have had numbers retired. Ray Lewis, Warren Sapp. I mean, he listed off teammates that he had. Like, how are there only 5?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
If you go down the list here, so George Myra, Jim Dooley, Ted Hendricks, and Vinny Testaverde. Those are the other 4, and Gino Tretta's number 13 will be the 5th. That's crazy to think about. I mean, you mentioned there's the who's who of guys in the world of college football history that, I mean, you can't tell the story of college football without the University of Miami teams. When you mention some of those guys like Michael Irvin and Warren Sapp,
Miami has 9 players
Sean Taylor
in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And it's Jim Otto, Tim Hendricks, Jim Kelly, Michael Irvin,
God, Jim Kelly,
Cortez Kennedy, Warren Sapp, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Edgerrin James.
Just think about that. Like, Ed Reed's number isn't up there.
Lord.
Yeah. You have to wait your turn, baby.
And those guys weren't guys that were like, oh, they're kind of good in college. Those guys were, do you remember Edgerrin James at Miami?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yep. I mean, that's wild.
That's absolutely bonkers. I mean, so it's a hell of a nod to Gino.
Ah, man.
I love Storytime with Uncle Gino.
Storytime with Uncle Gino is one of my favorites. Storytime with Uncle Gino is one of my favorites. And it's one of those things where you go like, you're going down that guy's resume and you have so many bullet points to go. And I went 7th overall instead of 7th round. And I was like, he caught that one really quick. He got that one real quick. But Uncle Gino is one of the best. Touchdown Radio Network, Michigan, Maryland. It'll be on our sister station 9:10 a.m. today or tomorrow. God. But I appreciate him coming on. What a great honor and what a great time. And he took a few minutes out of his day to join us today. So it was really cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shout out to Gino. We love him here.
Hot damn. All right. It is 12:53 on The Fan. he knows Gino Torretta. And that's why Gino's like, yeah, come on with the boys. Let's do this damn thing. And
it's fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah.
Gino's a good guy to know.
And you never know what you're going to get when you get a former player on, but his willingness to share stories and open up is really cool.
It's fantastic. You were gone when we had him on 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And all we did was talk about the food joints that he hits when he goes to games.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the food that he seeks out. There's a brat place in Cal, like right down the street where he grew up.
Yeah.
He's like, I come here twice before the game.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm into, Gino. Give me the goods.
You know what sucks? If Cal was good at football and their athletic department cared about, football, or the school, university cared about football, their game day environment at Strawberry
rules.
Canyon is awesome.
It's an old college town before everything blew up out there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's not like a big parking lot where you can tailgate, but it is so unique.
Yeah.
Like I remember going there when I was in college. We went and it was just like just a game day. We didn't have anywhere to go. We're just walking. We get invited into a frat party because we just had like a case of beer that we were walking with, and they were like, "Hey, come on in," and we just had a great time. We had a fantastic time with the Cal Golden Bears, and it was a fun night.
Yeah.
But we knew nobody going in, and we went out,
and you knew
we had
everyone
some new
on the way
best
out.
friends
There
on the
you go.
way out. It was unique. I'll say that. But Berkeley's a cool little town.
Darkness retreat.
It was. By that I mean I may have blacked out. All right, 1 hour down. This hour went by really fast.
Uncle Gino.
Let's get into the games that are coming up this weekend because it doesn't get much bigger than what's in Corvallis.
No.
We started jumping into it yesterday. Let's dive into it. Number 5, Washington. Number 11, Oregon State. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. me. He joined us in hour number 1. He's getting his number retired tomorrow. It's a really cool thing. He's got a busy day. He's actually on his way now to go to like a cocktail hour and get the drinks flowing for his jersey retirement. If you missed that interview, go check it out on the Service Patriots podcast at 1080thefan.com or on the Odyssey app. Service Patriots, your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan.
Now, did I catch in there that the University of Miami has 9 Pro Football Hall of Famers, and this is only their 5th number retirement?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That to me seems a little bananas.
And that also does not include the likes of, Clinton Portis or Andre Johnson or Vince Wilfork or Kellen Winslow or Sean Taylor.
That's just crazy, man.
Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Warren Sapp.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a pretty good football program.
Because Andre Johnson's going to go in the Hall of Fame.
But you know what? I think that if you look at it, though, he's a Heisman winner, and it took him this long. He won the Heisman in 1992. That was 31 years ago.
Yes, it was.
And was a member of 2 national title teams.
I was in high school.
Word.
And like you said, he was a starter. He was a starter for 4 games for that first national title team. So he was a real part of that team.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the game of note in the Pacific 12 Conference this weekend. We got a couple big ones in the conference with 22nd ranked Utah heading down to Tucson for number 17 Arizona. But obviously the biggest one for anybody that has a pulse, not just as a college football fan, Pac-12 fan, the Beavs, number 11 team in the country, hosting number 5 Washington. Yeah. Yeah.
The Worcestershire Huskies.
Look, this Washington team.
No, I actually enjoy Worcestershire.
Oh, and you don't Washington. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. That's a man who has punny jokes about food. Jeff Rust, everybody. Way to go.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This game, like Washington, they're getting it held against them. They had a couple of games where they weren't as impressive as what people thought they should be, right? They are having it held against them that they have had some one-possession games where, they don't score an offensive touchdown against Arizona State. The hangover game after what was an emotionally draining game and physically draining game against Oregon the week before. And then you have a night game against Arizona State, and you kind of drag your way through it. They play a game tighter than what people thought they should against Stanford. They play a game down in the Coliseum where they pull away late from USC. And then they get into a slobber knocker with Utah, and it's not as pretty as what people thought it should be. They get to 35 with the safety in there. It's a weird game.
It
right?
is, but also, remind me again, Dusty, how many losses do they have?
None. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
All they do is win. And this is like, now they come into this game and they're underdogs against Oregon State. And the Beavs are a phenomenal team. And I think that this is a credit to what Jonathan Smith and Oregon State have done. The fact that they are favorites. But it's also, it's this knock against UW, which all you do is win. And yet, you're going to be the ones that are criticized for it.
Everybody keeps dropping some version of like, I don't believe, they're a little fake, they're frauds. And I'm like, how fraudulent can you be with a Heisman Trophy frontrunner quarterback, 2 first-round wide receivers, 2 good pass rushers that are starting to find their way, a very good running back? Like I'm like, how fraudulent can you be with those guys every single week?
And a coach that is 7-0 against ranked opponents. Like, I mean, like, and this is the thing is that, like, I'm not trying to, like, defend UW here, but, like, what do they need to, like, what do they need to do? They get a win over a ranked team by 7 points at home, right? Florida State was on the ropes to an unranked Miami team. And what did the committee say? Rivalry games. You get your best shot. They escaped it.
What about Boston College?
Yeah, they had that game.
Is that a strong rivalry?
You're sitting there and you're going, well, they escaped and they're getting that benefit of the doubt. But this is the thing, though. Washington gets their proving ground this weekend. You get past this one, and there's going to be no reason why
they would have beaten 4 top 25 teams.
Absolutely. And not just beating those top 25 teams, but
3 of them on the road.
Arizona wasn't ranked at the time.
Yeah.
right? This Oregon State team will be ranked when they do play them. And at the time, USC was ranked.
Yes.
Not anymore. Won't be either.
No. They might squeak into the top 25.
Keep telling yourself that. They all they're doing is winning, though, and this is where the Pac-12 scheduling gods, it's actually worked its way out to where everything is falling into place, right? It can all fall apart in these final 2 weeks, though.
Oh, God, yeah. If they fall on their face here, Pac-12 is going to Pac-12.
The Pac-12 controls its own destiny to the playoff.
Yep.
Even though they are sitting at 5 and 6, they control their own destiny. And everybody that says that Washington is fraudulent, even though we just went over all of the markers as to saying why they're not fraudulent, they just go through the dips that every team does over a 12-game schedule, and football's hard. Winning on the road is hard. All they've done is rack wins together.
It's what? I think there's four teams in the country that have 3 wins over top 25 programs this year.
Yeah.
And I bet you
I think Texas and Alabama are the other ones, right?
And there's one other random one in there. I can't remember who it was, but how many of them have the chance to go for 4 and to have 3 of them be on the road?
Yeah, that's pretty damn impressive.
Like, whose resume is better than that at the end of the season?
This UW team has their chance to prove it this weekend. Then they have the Apple Cup, which the skid of
that always
Washington State is like the committee was right, and rivalry games do play each other tighter. But let's not act like UW's rivalry game that they've already played wasn't as impressive or more impressive than anything Florida State has done, including that LSU game week 1.
Yeah.
Okay. That was an October game. Those games are important.
Have you seen the Jaden Daniels fans that are very, very mad that he's not the runaway favorite for the Heisman?
Yeah. I have seen them. And look, if you look at numbers, absolutely, there's a case Jaden Daniels should.
Yeah, he had a 300-yard passing, 200-yard rushing game.
He's outstanding this year.
How many losses does LSU have?
They have 3.
Okay.
And they're to the 3 good teams they've played.
Huh. Weird.
I mean, ta-da!
Interesting.
Stuck the landing. And that's why it's like I am not a fan of Jaden Daniels. But his numbers and what he has done are absolutely stunning. Like he is putting together that season that you should, if you're an LSU fan, you should be mad that he's not getting enough credit. Absolutely. He's not getting enough credit. But my whole thing with Jaden Daniels is I saw him at Arizona State. We see in big games, and he's performing admirably in those big games, but they're losing too, right? I mean, you lost by 21 to Florida State. And didn't he have 2 picks in that game?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I mean, that is it. You have to have your Heisman moments. Where are Jaden Daniels' Heisman moments? Throwing for 300, rushing for 200, that is one. But where are you in those big games when your team needs you to engineer that drive? As unfair as that is to these players, it's the stupid way that the Heisman operates now. It's the best player on the best team, or you have to have those moments that stick out and elevate you above the competition, which the Bo Nix one is a little head scratching too, though. Bo has just been consistent all year long.
He just hasn't had that opportunity yet to
against the great team to pull out a win,
which is where the Pac-12 title game will and the Civil War.
Yeah, next week
he'll have 2 chances.
Next week, and if he's consistent this week against Arizona State, which Ducks should not look over Arizona State. That's been a house of horrors. It's been a state of horrors.
I would say state is honestly for everyone, but particularly for Oregon.
Yeah, good riddance, desert.
Look, USC had some years down there where it was not great when Vontaze Burfict was at Arizona State.
Yeah, like I'm looking forward to the days if we can find somebody in the upper Midwest to hate.
Where the weirdness is more. Again, it's more Super Troopers. Their shenanigans are more cheeky and fun.
On Washington on this side, it is absolutely 100% play within yourselves in this game.
Mm-hmm.
If the rain and wind is kicking up in Corvallis, that does favor Oregon State. But there is a resilience with this Washington team that is not getting enough credit, and they should get credit for it. There's also the fact that Oregon State has got to start fast in this game. We talked about this briefly yesterday, but Washington 18-0 18-0 when leading at halftime.
That seems
under Kalen DeBoer.
rather good.
Doesn't it? Doesn't that seem pretty good?
That seems rather
That seems like a significant stat there. And for the Beavs, if it is rainy, if it is just nasty weather, and you get that Oregon weather, that does benefit them because they are a pound the rock team. At that point, you look at, all right, was Dylan Johnson erupting against USC the starting point of him in this rushing offense taking a turn, or are the Beavs going to be able to stymie that and stifle that? I think where Oregon State lies is on the offensive side of the ball. We'll talk about that next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on the
again?
He does it every week where they have the college game day is going to be in Virginia at James Madison.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to hop on that plane once game day gets done at 9 a.m. Pacific, hop on a private jet, go across the country into Corvallis.
Is he PJing directly into Corvallis?
No, I don't know if you can.
I don't think they're
maybe Salem, and then you're gonna get there. He's gonna look. He'll get there at probably 9 a.m. He leaves
5-hour flight.
Yeah.
Plus gaining 2 hours.
He'll probably get there at 3.
Yeah, pretty close to kickoff. For
9 a.m. Pacific is when he leaves, so he's not gonna gain any time. So he's gonna get there probably around 3.
Which with a 4:30 kick is close.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very close for a broadcaster.
But this is nothing new for him.
This dude's frequent flyer. God, I want his credit card.
Well, he doesn't have one because he just uses a private
That's
jet
true.
to fly everywhere.
You've seen
That's a different life.
Yeah, you've seen him around in the booth, right? He's got a security team.
I've not seen him around the booth.
He's got a security team.
I cannot say that I have. Usually, like most of like the big TV crews, like you'll see like Klatt, he'll come out of the booth, but like most of them just lock themselves into their booth and they don't really come out of there very often. Klatt will do a lap or two.
Yeah.
But Herb Street, no. Herb Street and Fowler, they do not.
They get in and they get out.
Yep, they are in that booth and they're just prepping, do the game, and maybe they'll go take a bathroom break. But yeah, the I don't want to say this. How do I say it? The lesser crews?
Yes.
The non-A teams for the big networks, they'll come out and they'll yuck it up and they'll talk with folks. The other ones, they just like just stay in there.
Yeah,
in and out,
and then they get out. But yeah, I ran into him once. Had a security team escorting him from one place to another, and I was like,
well, yeah, because he's almost late to every game.
Yeah, and I was like, I guess I was like, does somebody want to kill Kirk Herbstreit?
That would just be stressful.
Yeah, just like because you have to have somebody like clearing you a path, making sure you're getting where you need to go. Nobody's like, because if you have the security team, what does that do? It's not like this bulletproof Taylor Swift protection team. It deters people from coming up to you.
It's just don't talk to me.
Yes, I'm going. Yeah, and I found not necessarily strange. I just found it interesting because everybody I've ever known who's talked to Herbstreit has been like, oh, he's a good dude.
Well, and I think that is it right there. Is that he needs that security team because he's so nice. He will talk to you.
Yeah,
it's just like, damn it, Kirk,
we gotta go.
Kirk, you can't be doing this all the time. He's like, what?
You got an hour until kick, and you haven't seen anything yet. You got to go, buddy.
It's like Russell Brand and get him to the Greek, just minus all the drugs.
Be a lot cooler if Kirk was on all those drugs.
I don't want to rule it out, but I don't think it's the truth.
Look, man, if he's rubbing the furry wall, I'd be all about it.
I don't know. Oh, from Get Him to the Greek. Yeah. Okay, I get that reference. I have seen that movie 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On drugs.
Didn't Russell Brand get canceled?
I think he got canceled.
I believe he did.
And I thought he got kind of uncanceled, but then he got canceled.
Oh, we're doing that?
No, but then he got canceled again.
Carry the one.
Yeah, so he's still canceled.
Okay. Still canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only one more, and then you can't triple stamp a double stamp.
Yeah.
All right.
But to be fair, if you looked at Russell Brand and just didn't know anything about him, would you think he was canceled? The answer is yes.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he looks canceled.
I think he's gone full conspiracy theorist that road.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Weird, right?
No, who could have seen that coming? Like I said, if you've seen Russell Brand and you have no idea who he is, you would think he's been canceled.
Yeah. Right.
Strong, who's the crazy Quaid?
Randy.
Strong Randy Quaid energy.
Yeah. Is Randy Quaid still locked in a
bunker
house in Canada?
You serious, Clark?
Yeah. Why you got Cousin Eddie? You can't.
I know it sucks.
Well, and you hear Chevy Chase is kind of a Richard to people.
Oh yeah, he's a complete D-hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
I know people have worked with him that have said he's just the worst.
Those movies are just so good too.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Russ!
All we're doing is just hanging on to Beverly D'Angelo, you know?
Yeah.
And her D'Angelos.
Mm-hmm. All right. Back to Oregon State and Washington. That really went sideways on us very fast. Oregon State running the football and look, that when in a weather game where weather gets weird And it's not like you have the team from LA that's squirting the balls and practice and trying to, simulate rain and don't know how to play. It's Washington, right? It's the style of play. When you look at the style of play and you look at what is going to make it harder for each offense to operate, 100%. It makes it harder for Washington to operate in a rain game. We've talked about this with ball technology, with the fact ball boys, they have like insulated coolers to keep the balls dry and sticky at all times. It's far different than playing like in the 90s or hell, even 10 years ago. But Oregon State's going to want to take the air out of the ball. And Washington's run defense is good, but when you consider the fact that they throw the ball a lot, they do play with a lead. Again, 18-0 when leading at half. Yes. They rank 50th in the country in rush defense. And I think this is where a lot of the naysayers of Washington are coming from, is that their offense is elite.
Yes. Quite literally one of one. It is that kind of unit.
No ands, ifs, or buts about it. Their pass defense is not elite.
No.
But again, when you have a lead, teams throw the ball on you, your passing stats are going to be down.
Yes.
But it is the rush defense where we're not taking away the run, or when you're playing from ahead, you make teams one-dimensional, right? They're 50th in the country, 7th in the Pac-12 in rushing yards allowed, right? We have seen two teams go for 200 on them so far this year. Oregon and USC both rushed for over 200 yards against them. Oregon State, this game is won and lost with Damian Martinez, Deshaun Fenwick, and this mauling offensive line that Oregon State has been
off the field
and hanging their hat on. Absolutely.
That's the big thing. It's the one way that it's a great way to keep the Oregons, the Washingtons, the USCs, to keep them from beating you. Run the ball.
Yep.
Keep their offenses off the field.
Yeah. And when you have a defense that doesn't generate a lot of takeaways, which UW does not.
No.
They do not generate a lot of takeaways. I think they only have like 12 all season long.
And they picked up 2 against SC.
You're not great on third down. You are okay against the run. You're middle of the pack against the run, and you're not great against the pass. Like, Oregon State needs to impose their will this
and capitalize,
week. And show, like, the thing about this Washington team, and I think this is why Vegas likes Oregon State in it, and why the Sharps like it, is that there's balance to their offense, and you have the elements playing a factor, and you're at home, and it is very hard to play on the road. We even seen that, like, with Washington this year. Have they stubbed their toe? No, they have not. They have not picked up a loss all season long, and they need to get more damn credit for that, like we were talking about. But Arizona, closer than it should have been. USC, Stanford, closer than they should have been. This is going to be another one where the environment is going to be those amplified, because you're going to rack it up.
Going to be lit.
And they've been waiting for a game like this. Like we talked to Angie Machado yesterday, like they thought Utah was going to be that environment. It was that environment for a quarter, and then you were like, well, Utah's not really putting up a fight right now. They're going to get it for 4 quarters on the road. And that, to me, that's why this game, the point spread is so close, and why you look at it and you say, hell, if you start running DJ as well, and you have a 2-headed monster in the backfield, and then you add a running quarterback, watch out now. Things can open up for Oregon State.
It's going to get spicy.
It will be.
Well, sometimes it's better just to know when to shut up. But first, here's a SportsCenter update with the Big Kahuna.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Stanford's. This classic American steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tannisbourne, or online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan, both the Ducks and Beavers looking for wins this weekend as their final Pac-12 meeting looms next week with a trip to the Pac-12 championship game still in play. Number 6 Ducks, 24.5-point favorites in Tempe against the Sun Devils. It's a 1 o'clock kick on Fox. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 7 a.m. Those number 11 Beavers hosting the undefeated number 5 Washington Huskies. Oregon State 2-point favorites in the 4:30 kick on ABC. In the NFL, Bengals head coach Zach Taylor says Joe Burrow will miss the rest of the season with a torn ligament in his wrist that will likely need surgery. The team will stick with Jake Browning as the starter. And with Deshaun Watson out for the season, ESPN reporting the Browns looking to add a third quarterback. They're bringing in Joe Flacco for a workout. Vikings receiver Justin Jefferson questionable with a hamstring injury Sunday night against the Broncos. Bears quarterback Justin Fields off the injury report and will start Sunday against the Lions. Ravens head coach John Harbaugh says tight end Mark Andrews likely lost for the season after suffering a cracked fibula and an ankle ligament injury that will likely require surgery. On the hard court, the Blazers have lost 5 straight as they welcome the Lakers into Moda Center tonight for another in-season tournament game. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports. The Blazers are 8.5-point dogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
I saw this pop up and I was like, oh, are we really? Is this really as dumb as it sounds like?
Sure is.
And it is. Carissa Thompson Carissa Thompson is a sideline reporter who has worked with, I think, basically everyone at this point in time. But she's with Fox currently, correct?
Yeah, studio host, I believe.
But say she's worked the
Yeah.
sidelines for basically all of the big companies now at this point. She's been around a long time.
Was she on the Thursday Night Football studio show?
Yeah.
The host?
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. But she works for Fox now. And I don't know. I honestly, I have not watched a post game or a pregame of the Amazon stuff. And because like those Amazon Thursday night games, I have no idea. I turn it off at halftime because it's like around dinner time. So at halftime we do dinner and then I go right back. I don't know. And the cool thing about it with Amazon is you can jump right into, like, you could do the rapid recap where you don't see any of that stuff. And then you can just fast forward right through. I love the convenience of the Amazon broadcast.
Fantastic. There's zero doubt about that.
Isn't it great?
No, it's fantastic. The NBA has that with League Pass. You can get
Yeah. So I have not watched a second of pre-halftime or post-game of
look at
any
you
of the
being a
Thursday
monster,
nights.
getting rid of shoulder programming. How dare you?
I know. Well, I know.
How dare you, sir?
I know.
God, you freaking millennial.
Life, dude. Life gets in the way. Life gets in the way.
Well,
Amazon does a really good job.
Yeah, they do. It's fantastic. Carissa Thompson, though, sat down on Pardon My Take.
Take all my money.
She said something very stupid.
Mm.
And this, when I first heard it, my thought process was, you don't have to say everything out loud. You can keep this to yourself.
Yeah.
But she kind of giggled and she said, I've said this before. I haven't been fired saying it, but I'll say it again. I would make up the report sometimes because A, the coach wouldn't come out at halftime, or it was too late and I didn't want to script the report. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to make this up. Because first of all, no coach is going to get mad if I say, hey, we need to stop hurting ourselves. We need to do better on third down. We need to stop turning the ball over. We need to do a better job of getting off the field. They're not going to correct me on that. So it's like, it's fine. I'll just make up the report.
Yeah.
Number one, why the hell are you saying this? Number two, I can't believe I'm even going to do this. I'm giving her a modicum of grace because there is a 0% chance that her producer didn't know that this was happening.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
way. They're watching the
Yeah.
camera. So
Yeah.
they know that she's not gotten anything.
She knows, like, she'll be like, I haven't gotten them. Like, that's what you tell.
Yeah.
And so this may actually even be on her producer more so than her to say, well, we're coming down to you. It's like,
Make up
well,
something.
Why?
Yeah.
And it should be on her to be like, no.
Yes. But that's what I'm saying. I'm giving, like, again,
Yeah.
this isn't a full grace, but this is a modicum of grace of like, why isn't her producer just being like, all right, cool, we're not going to run this. But there's probably
Because nobody would notice.
No, there's probably some paid segment, which is probably why it happens.
Yeah.
But why is she saying this?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know why you would, but I think like there's a couple things that in framing this. One, Pardon My Take is not a serious sports podcast, and there's a lot of stuff that is very lighthearted that they do. So she obviously was comfortable, feeling relaxed and all that, but I also think that when you have as that sideline reporter, she may not have intentionally done it, but she took away a lot of the credibility for all the other sideline reporters. Now there's going to be, I know that just this past week at the Oregon game, right? The Oregon USC game, they'd sent Fox to that game, and Josh Sims was doing the sideline reporting. And what he does, because I do the halftime interviews.
Yes.
So I get Dan Lanning live, and what there is in the college, you have the SID, Sports Information Director, he goes, all right, we're going national first, year second. And what Josh Sims does, he goes up to Lanning at halftime, goes, hey, we're off camera, but, you know, what'd you see in the first half? What do you think you guys need to do? Blah, blah, blah. Gets it 2 quick questions. He writes it down, and that's usually what it is. Then, like, I'll do as Lanning's like running into the tunnel, I'll actually ask him 2 questions. We get that interview done live. He doesn't want to do it.
No.
I get he doesn't want to do it.
No coach wants to do it.
Because he's thinking about the football game, but he knows it's a part of his job.
Yes.
It's a part of his gig. What she is talking about here is not those instances when she's talking about the coach doesn't come out. So the national people will do the first one with the coach that's usually winning. You'll get him going into the locker room because they're in a better mood.
Yep.
And you don't want to have the pissed off coach at halftime. And I've seen it before where something happens right before the end. Right before the end, something bad happens and the sideline reporter for Nationals on one sideline, they have to run all the way to the other sideline because they're like, I ain't talking to this guy right now.
Nope.
Like, this is not going to be a fun conversation to have. But then what happens is they have to catch the other coach at the end of halftime. And what she is saying is that, and I don't have to deal with that because I'm just doing the Ducks sidelines. Like, the opposing head coach ain't going to come talk to me. And so what happens is, as she's waiting, they'll come back from their break, and either that coach hasn't come out yet, or maybe he's so pissed he doesn't even want to talk. Which I've seen before, like them get blown off, and
the hand up. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do?
Or you get the
right?
SID going.
Yeah, and like that kind of stuff happens. Like like if you've ever been to a game, like you've seen it from the stands where it's like the timing isn't just working. And so she's like, all right, well, if you're waiting and they're like, sometimes you'll have the media relations person in the NFL or in college be like, yeah, they're coming out. And then the producer's like, well, we're coming down to you. You got to go. And what she's saying is, I'll just make stuff up. You can't do that, though. It's just a horrible look, man.
She has just since released a statement. It says, okay, let's address the elephant in the room. I have responsibility myself and my employers to clarify what is being reported. When on a podcast this week, I said I would make up reports early in my career when I worked as a sideline reporter before I transitioned to my current host role. Working in media, I understand how important words are, and I chose the wrong words to describe the situation. I'm sorry. I've never lied about anything or been unethical during my time as a sports broadcaster. And this is where she gets into the details. In the absence of a coach providing information that could further my report, I would use information that I learned and saw during the first half to create my report. For example, if his team was 0 for 7 on third down, that would clearly be an area they need to improve on in the second half. In these instances, I never attributed anything I said to a player or a coach.
There you go.
And that is fair. If she didn't say, now if she said, Coach Belichick at halftime told me X, and then she said it, honestly, it's grounds for her to be fired.
Yeah.
Right now, today, on the spot.
Yeah.
Unequivocally.
I don't know.
Unequivocally.
It kind of seemed like that's what she was
That's
implying.
what she was implying. That's what I thought it was as well. But if she's saying, coming out of the halftime, the Patriots need to work on third down. Like,
well, she has an opinion. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
But that does matter.
Yeah. But that's where I think this backtracking, she's obviously just trying to cover her tracks.
She's trying to get to gray area, and she better hope that nobody checks the tape.
When she says, I make things up, it's like, no, you don't. You have your opinion of what's going on. Pretty simple.
And you usually, if you've ever watched a sideline reporter, most of them, whether it's their phone or a notepad or something, they have, or game notes. People think that they're just standing there not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
They know what's going on, guys.
Yeah. Well, and I think everybody's like, see, sideline reporters, they're useless and they don't do much and all that stuff. And
you're the conduit to the broadcast team.
Yeah, because
that's the most important thing that you do.
What you don't hear is a lot of the information that there's an open mic and you're feeding a lot of that information from whether there's an injury report or there's a player who has left the game for some other reason. Yeah, you see different things. There may be an official's timeout. You're relaying all of that stuff up to the booth, or if you see something, or maybe they don't see a number of a player, whatever, you're like, oh, it was so-and-so. So even when they're not on the mic, there's still that aspect of what they do.
See, now here,
she just wanted airtime though, I think.
Look, and so, you got those halftime ones where you're supposed to normally get with the coach. And if you didn't, what's so wrong with her saying, look, didn't get a chance to catch up with Coach Lanning, but they're 0 for 7 on third down. I assume that would be something they'd want to address. And, on top of that, they're giving up 6.7 yards per carry. I assume they want to tighten that up. You don't have to just make it sound like you did talk to them and glean something from them when you didn't.
Or
there
you,
are other ways to address it.
Or you just hit them with this one, be like, well, they're still not out. If that tells you anything about what's going on, might have something to do with the 0-7 on third down, trying to shore that up.
Exactly. There are ways to get around things other than just making S up.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a good look, man.
No, it's not.
And I think the way that she prefaced it by saying, I've said this before and haven't gotten fired for it, that's like everybody's like ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like spidey senses are tingling at that point.
Right? Yeah, I mean, look, she's done this to herself.
Yeah,
no matter how much backtracking she wants to try to do
And that's
now.
the thing is, I need to go back and check the interview she did with Aaron Andrews 2 years ago to see if she does qualify it as I would make things up that a coach has told me. If she's talking about using a frame of reference from that podcast, that's very qualified.
Yeah.
Then I'll be bluntly honest.
I mean-
she needs to be fired.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pearl clutching in this, though, of people being outraged over it because it's like, yeah, she's not very good at her job then. You know,
I mean,
like,
it's not an. It's,
I mean, like,
it's an ethical thing. Like, you're quite literally making stuff up in a position where you are supposed to be reporting facts. Now, there's a difference between reporting facts in a war zone versus football, certainly.
Yeah.
But there, Dusty, and you know this.
I know.
Well, not just that, but how many people do you that we know personally that would kill to be in her position?
See, that's the thing
absolutely,
is
a
that
lot.
I don't
A
think
lot.
it's pearl clutching because she has risen to the highest levels.
Yes.
And she just admitted that she makes stuff up.
I agree with that, but I think that it is also like, are we really this outraged by it?
I'm not outraged.
I saw a
by
lot
it.
of stuff from fellow sideline reporters
That's
that
true.
showed a butt ton of outrage.
Well, yeah, and they should be.
Yes,
they should.
And
be.
they're like, this makes all of us look bad.
Brennan
It
Green
destroys all of our
from-
credibility.
Yeah.
Coin was very poignant in,
It's
in the way
not.
she pointed it out.
It's not. It's not like it. It's a horrible look for her. But I also think like we're acting like
It's very inside baseball. The people who
Yeah.
should be the most pissed off are the people
that
we know.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that aren't
In that
are
world.
like, oh my god,
Yeah. Which
this is why we can't trust the media. Well, it's a sideline reporter for a football game.
Yeah. So
who said who did? And by the way, all the stuff she's claiming she made up, it's like 100% what a coach would say too.
she's not wrong. But again, it's
I know
what
yeah,
you do.
It absolutely
It's
is.
going full Brian Williams.
It absolutely is.
well-
Yes, it is Brian Williams.
So, speaking of going Brian Williams, did the Bengals go Brian Williams as it pertains to Joe Burrow? And what the hell is the U.S. Congress or perhaps the NFL going to do about it? Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
This is
staggering.
Via NFL memes, so take that for what it is. But the Chargers are all-time record as a franchise, 482 wins, 482 losses with 11 ties. Since Justin Herbert was named their starter, they are 29-29. Since his first start, they have scored 1,502 points and allowed 1,502 points. How in the world is that even possible?
The mathematic chances for that to happen, I bet you, is probably 1 in a billion.
And the crazy thing is, like, they had Marty Schottenheimer had a 15-2 team. Like, they've had like extravagant years. They've had some pretty bad years, but they've like mostly just been meh. And now you have like this roster that should be exceptional. You have a quarterback that they should be exceptional. They're not. They're just not. I cannot believe the level of dysfunction that the Spanos family has. And like, this is the thing. Yesterday, we saw John J. Fisher and the Oakland A's got their approval to get moved from Oakland to Vegas. And that's awful. Like, that's awful for the city of Oakland. I can't believe Major League Baseball is, I know why they are, because they're supporting their owners, and it lines everybody else's pockets a little bit more. But like, people in Vegas, they are not under any impression that it's going to be different since they're moving. He says it will be. They won't. They're going to suck, because guess what? Your ownership sucks.
Yes.
Just like the Chargers. They said, hey, we're going to LA. It's going to be different. No, it's not.
As long as owners stay the same, it sucks. That's how this goes.
In fact, your roster is way more talented than when it was when you were in San Diego, but your leadership is god-awful. God-awful.
Okay, so the Chargers have been around. I just did quick math.
Yeah.
Since 1960.
That's pretty impressive.
So 63 years. How many seasons do you think that they have of 10 wins or more?
In 63 seasons, 10 win or more seasons, I'll say 20.
I was going to go with about half that.
Yeah, you're going about 10. I'll say 20.
How about we split the difference?
Oh, 15.
14.
22%. Yeah.
Of their existence, they have been over 10 wins.
Because Air Coryell was really good. And then you had the shoddy ball, Marty Ball days, really good. And they're just average in between.
Then you drop in 2018 and 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the years you're looking at 06, 09, 61, 79, 04, 18, 63, 07, 92, 80, 94, 81.
94, they went to a Super Bowl. Yep. Got absolutely boat raced by the 49ers.
60 and 22.
Was that Humphreys?
Stan Humphreys,
Stan
Natron
Humphreys.
Means, Junior Seau, Gary
Natron
Plummer.
bomb.
Yeah, those teams are good.
They're like
Stan Brock was on that team.
They had some really good teams.
They're really, really damn good.
I mean, the Tomlinson era teams, the 04 to 06 teams were really good too.
Yeah. Golly. Man. Yeah, Stan Humphreys. They won games with him.
Right?
Yikes.
Yeah. Think about that. Well, here they are. Captain Comeback was on their team. Jim Harbaugh. They had Jim Harbaugh too.
They also had Marion Butts.
Ooh, I love Marion Butts.
Marion Butts is such a great name.
Yeah. Well, I think that 94 team. No, that is the year. So Gary Plummer had played for the Chargers, and then I think he went up. He was on San Francisco that year that they won the Super Bowl, and they beat them.
Yeah, 94 Chargers was Humphreys.
He was a long time linebacker for, and Gary Plummer is the most linebacker name of all time. I will hear nothing else.
Would that have been a
Dick Butkus.
Bobby Beathard coach team?
I don't know.
94?
No. That is
Bobby Ross.
Yeah, Bobby Ross,
There
the
we
guy
go.
who went and coached Army, Navy.
I confused
One
my
of those schools.
Bobbies.
Georgia Tech. Yeah. All right.
So you go. There's the Chargers, quite literally the epitome of mid.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that, Justin Herbert, because it's going to be a long career.
Is there an LA billionaire that wants to buy that team?
I'm sure
There's
there's
gotta
a
be, right?
couple.
Right?
Maybe the guy who's married to that crazy lady, the crazy eyes lady. I bet he's a billionaire.
Oh, that one?
Well, remember that she went viral during the game where she was the little Asian lady.
Oh, yeah.
Who was going crazy. Yeah, and
okay.
they memed her.
The plant.
Yeah, the one that's a plant. Yeah,
God,
used to be a Vikings. I bet he's a billionaire.
Well, didn't they find her doing that for 2 different teams too?
Yeah, but they moved from Minnesota to
LA.
LA.
And actually, her son, she was dressed up for her son's game, who was the Vikings. That's why she was all dressed up. She hopped on McAfee.
Wait, hold on. Her son played for a team called the Vikings?
Like a Pop Warner team.
And she dressed up like that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, she's Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just certified. Speaking of new billionaires, turns out due to some paperwork filing around, what is it? Cane's chicken?
Raising Cane's?
You Raising Cane's? Yeah. He's worth $7.6 billion. So he actually made $1 billion slanging chicken.
Dude, I like that.
That's the latest new billionaire that was disclosed due to some FCC filings.
Hey, good for him.
$7.6 billion slinging bad chicken.
Oh, it's not bad. Raising Cane's is not bad.
Raising Cane's is bad. Their
No,
sauce
it's
is
not.
good.
No, Raising Cane's, but that makes it good.
The sauce is good. The chicken is not.
It makes it good. Makes it good, Danny. Come on.
Well,
give it the time.
Speaking of what not's good, oh God. Speaking of what is not good, what is going on at Michigan? And my God, shout out to all of the intrepid reporters who keep digging and digging and digging and finding more and more gold. We'll get to that and more coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. report that he has updated that has gotten weirder and weirder and weirder. And all of the strings, it doesn't matter which one you pull. What strand of spaghetti you pull, you're getting meatballs. And it's just absolutely bonkers, which, let's be honest, this was never going to go any other way.
Yeah.
The intricacy with which the sign stealing was coordinated, whether or not Harbaugh knew about it or not, Connor Stallions was out there with a vacuum sales company that he was running nationally while being paid $50,000 a year, but was getting multiple people first-class plane tickets all over the country, all over the Big Ten, to go film other teams and get live signs from them. Nothing seemed to add up in any way, shape, matter, or form.
What he was getting first-class tickets?
That's the one that I read, yeah.
Michigan keeps stepping in it.
Yes.
And
they're
here's the
knee-deep
thing.
in it. They're not even stepping in it.
What the university did with their full court press and the Michigan versus everybody and them fueling all of it, like from the highest levels of the university,
Yes,
like
deny.
There was a coordinated plan. They've made every single one of their fans that went to bat for them look absolutely foolish.
Bet.
They look stupid now.
Bet.
Like they made their players look stupid with the whole bet thing.
Even Heat fans are like, ooh, I feel bad for Michigan fans.
What is going on now is the F around and find out scale
peaked.
I don't think it has. I honestly don't think it has, because all of that denying, hey, we did nothing wrong. Jim Harbaugh knew nothing. Our university knew nothing. We did no wrong. It was one rogue individual. That it is not the truth, and it cannot be the truth any further. And before it gets better, it's going to get worse for Michigan, because what we are finding out now is that what happened yesterday, that was the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
Jim Harbaugh going, okay, I'm no longer going to fight this thing. I'm going to serve my 3-game suspension. That is the NCAA that apparently had, quote, nothing, has a whole lot of something. And Ross Dellinger is going to keep pulling and pulling and pulling, because now we have somebody named Uncle T involved.
Now it's getting good.
Hercules,
Yeah,
Hercules. Yes, let's go.
We've got pseudonyms. I love it. Uncle T is a booster.
Uncle T is a booster who, and everybody was saying, hey, if somebody can figure out and somebody can prove how this whole thing was being funded, then that's where this all falls apart for Michigan.
To clarify, because the original theory was that Uncle T was Tom Brady. It is not Tom Brady.
Oh, that's what the original one was? No. Like, here is where everything is falling apart for Michigan, in that they have a whole lot of something there. Because, and this is why there's far more that the NCAA knows, because the hardest thing to do in any NCAA investigation is prove it, because they don't have subpoena power. And Connor Stallions, who is at the center of the sign-stealing investigation, was not cooperating. He was not cooperating, but Michigan said that they were. Now, if you find out who funds it all, that's where this whole thing is a big issue.
Yes, and so there's the Champion Circle, which is an official high-level booster association that is directly related to Michigan. It is not a tangential. It has an actual relationship. It is an official partner of Michigan.
It's an NIL collective.
Yes.
And Tim Smith is a prominent businessman who has been stripped of any affiliation with the Champion Circle.
Yes.
He spoke to The Athletic. And that's where this thing is really, now that you got people who are and he's saying, I did nothing wrong here.
He's also talked to Yahoo, so this is the canary that wants to sing.
I've never heard that term, Uncle T. No one has ever called that or referred to me as that. But the Champion Circle revoked his membership, and he said all he's done is they didn't even give him a courtesy phone call. He says, I have no idea where this came from. All I've ever done is give to the school and give to the NIL.
Sounds to me like they don't pity the fool.
I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb and say somebody's lying.
Well,
it's he
also in this said that he did contact Connor Stallions after this whole thing started because he cared about him on a human level.
Yes, of course he did.
On a human level, he was like, hey, I care about him.
Mhm.
Yeah, that low-level staffer that a lot of boosters have connections with.
Yes.
And this is where it's getting gnarly because also Michigan fired their linebackers coach
Because
in the
he-
middle of the season.
Because he was caught trying to delete information related to the sign stealing scandal from what I can only imagine were university computers, which are protected by public records.
Look, man, this is so. And now the whole thing, nobody on the staff knew. It's all falling apart. It's all falling apart, and that's where you sit there and you go, "No, Jim Harbaugh is culpable in all of this." And he absolutely is. In 3 games at the end of the season may just be the beginning of it. Like, this could get far worse for Jim Harbaugh and far worse for Michigan. So yesterday, and you and I were talking, and it was like there's this prevailing thought that accepting the punishment was the first step in Michigan pushing through that contract extension. Not today.
Yeah.
Not today. Like, everything
Jim
has
might be
changed.
going to the NFL after all.
This is a horrible look for
gonna,
Michigan.
It's going to be a show cause.
It's a horrible look for the entire university right now because of the full court press, which was, I mean, if you and I thought at that time, and they had to have thought this too. Anytime you have a university that does the rally the troops and go full denial, it's because they know that they have circled the wagons, they have closed quarters, and nobody's talking.
Nothing's getting out.
The NCAA already had the information, though. The Big Ten already had the information. And, like, it was clear as day when the Big Ten suspends him and Michigan's like, they got nothing. They wouldn't just do it if they had nothing.
That was
they had them dead to rights, and we'll find out a whole heck of a lot more.
There's a line here from the Yahoo report from Ross Dellinger. So the article goes in talking about Tim Smith and Tim Smith giving his side of the story, which it sounds like every other booster that's ever wanted 15 seconds in the sunshine kind of a deal.
Dude, you have the most generic name ever.
Yeah.
Like, you can just fade away into nothing.
Yeah.
You're Tim Smith.
You're fine. But Smith said he had spoken to Stalions multiple times since he resigned. Smith said that the two are not close, and that he knew him as well as any other staff person in the university's football program, which it's kind of interesting that you know an analyst better than or as good as any other stat person.
Oh, he just knows everybody.
Yeah, you know, right? He also said that Stalions self-funded the sign-stealing effort by selling a home for more than $100,000. He says that Stalions told him that, which Dellinger then follows up. This is brilliant writing by Ross, by the way, because he's basically calling this all BS in the next paragraph, where he says the alleged scheme in which Stalions operated has been described as an elaborate multi-year system in which he bought tickets in games involving future Michigan opponents and then had associates, as many as 65, per the NCAA's investigation, attend games to video a team's play calls.
And
65 people, $100,000.
You know,
do the math.
Do you know the part that also is not going to hold up for Michigan folks, saying that, see, it was just Chris Partridge, the linebackers coach, who was fired? You know how long Chris Partridge has been coaching at Michigan for?
How long?
Since February. So you just read a paragraph that said this is multiple year system.
They got rid of low man. They got rid of low man on the totem pole. That's what they did.
He's not the Stalions. Look, Stalions didn't do this for a couple of years, and then a brand new guy comes on staff, and he's like, "Hey, bud, I'm going to fill you in on something nobody else knows." Partridge is just the guy who's
fed to the wolves,
caught deleting it.
Yeah.
And look, this is not the only thing related to computers at Michigan. The FBI is looking into like a computer violence. Remember that guy got fired earlier in the year? Like, there's a lot going on.
There's a great line here.
There is a lot going on there.
I think there are people wanting to throw some people under the bus. It's all Connor and someone else. If Uncle T is me, I'm not aware that it is me. That's very strong. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit energy.
They're going, prove it.
Yeah.
And look, that's a great way to do it, because with Michigan not pursuing the legal injunction for Harbaugh's suspension, the NCAA doesn't have subpoena power. So like Uncle T, whoever that is, if it's Tim Smith or not, if it's Tim Smith, he can deny it right now, because who's he going to have to turn his bank records over to? Nobody. Because they don't have the power to do that. The NCAA is toothless in that regard. So
womp womp.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
All right. Well, you want to get into some more theoretical legalese as we debate what the hell the NFL, the Congress, and the casino should do about Joe Burrow's proposed wrist injury that existed prior to last night's game?
Joe Burrow's wrist is a big issue for not just the Cincinnati
Not just
Bengals.
Cincinnati Bengals, but for the entire NFL and for a multi-billion-dollar industry. We'll get into that and more coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. for the Bengals, and you would think that would be the end of it. But unfortunately, or fortunately, there is film of Joe Burrow walking in to the game where you can see very clearly that he has a brace on his right hand. The same one, really, the same style of one that Anthony Simon is in right now for a torn ulnar, ulnar collateral ligament on his right thumb.
That's for Ant. We don't know what's going on with Joe Burrow.
But the same style, very much the same style of brace. Yeah. And I would imagine that's probably the same injury that Joe Burrow's probably suffered because he has a torn ligament in the same spot. But
I don't know. It's in his wrist. I don't know.
I was saying same general region.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's wearing the brace isn't as big a deal as the fact that it was not disclosed, and that the betting public, this is a big deal, is placing wagers on a team that has a quarterback that is very clearly dealing with an injury that is not and has not been disclosed.
Yeah, this is a big deal. And I know now we have some of the online books are refunding people who had bets in on last night's game because of that. And when you're talking about the integrity of the injury report, this is why. This is why the injury reports are important. This is why they've always been important. This is why they've even existed, is because of gambling, whether fantasy or traditional gambling. And Joe Burrow affects the outcome of that game tremendously. And I saw Chris Long had a good video that he kind of put together where days ago he noticed that Burrow had a brace on his wrist. So he went to look back at their last game to find out when he could have gotten hurt. And he got hurt on like the second play of the game.
When he landed with his hand underneath it.
And he mentioned this, he mentioned it on it was on of the game against the Texans. He got hurt when he got it wedged in between his chest plate and the chest plate of a lineman on the follow through of a throw. And
I thought it was later in the game when he landed on it. Okay.
It was the second play of the game.
Okay.
Where he said it is the first time you see Joe Burrow walking off the sideline
grabbing it.
And he's holding his wrist. And then like nobody seemed to care yesterday when Chris Long said that yesterday before the game on his podcast. And he was like, when nobody seems to care, well, fast forward a few hours, boom, Joe Burrow goes down in the second quarter of that game. And it's like, that is why people need to know about these things, is because whether in people that are upset for irresponsibly gambling money away, stop. Don't bet money that you can't afford to lose.
I'm going to be with you on that to an extent. It is not incumbent upon the bettor to bet responsibly with faulty information.
It is 100% on the bettor to bet responsibly at all times.
Oh, yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that
all
point.
times. Like, and so like if you're sitting there, be like, I bet all this money and I don't have the money to do it. It's like Joe Burrow could have gotten hit at any point in that game and gotten hurt.
Sure.
Like that's a risk you were taking. So that is ridiculous. But
the baked-in risk that you are not disclosing.
Yes,
and
that needs to be known because a pre-existing injury is a big one.
Yes,
and if only we took this much care into
literally
anything else.
Literally anything else.
But come on, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they know better than that too.
Oh,
they absolutely know better than that.
I would be shocked if the NFL does not hammer them with a massive fine.
Yeah,
but this also becomes a bigger issue because
this isn't Joe Burrow's fault either. No, by the way. This is the organization.
This is the organization's fault. This is the coach. This is the medical staff. This is the general manager.
Like trainers are going to probably get fired over it.
Yeah, 100%. And the bigger overarching stuff here is that the books and the government, if you don't think that those phone calls haven't already taken place, you are out of your bleeping mind.
Yep.
Because the whole reason why we haven't seen the federal legalization of gambling across the nation yet is because they don't have control. It's because of stuff like this. They don't have regulation that is blanket across the country. Yep. They don't have blanket regulations with the NBA, the NFL, MLB, NHL, college.
Yep.
And until that stuff is there, It won't. So that when it does happen, if something like this does happen, you're going to get leagues hit with fines that are in the hundreds of millions and billions of dollars for fraud.
Yeah, you're wondering like how many teams saw that Thursday night and they're like, uh-oh, we need to put so-and-so on the injury report today. Like that's going to be the one thing is that
there's an uptick in percentage of injury report.
Guys are going to start popping up on that injury report today that probably were not there a day ago. That's the cold reality of it because there's a lot of teams that are going, uh-oh.
Oh, there's probably a league phone call happening with the owners, I bet.
That memo that we always see.
That's getting circulated.
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine that's probably taking place. Taking place tonight, the Portland Trailblazers take on Los Angeles Lakers in Game 3 of their in-season tournament. And one NBA player who nobody thought could change his stripes, maybe he has. We'll get to that and more, but first, here's the Big Kahuna with Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, both the Ducks and Beavers looking for wins this weekend as their final Pac-12 meeting looms next week with a trip to the Pac-12 championship game still in play. Number 6 Ducks, 24.5-point favorites in Tempe against the Sun Devils. 1 o'clock kick on Fox. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 7 a.m. The number 11 Beavers hosting the undefeated number 5 Washington Huskies. Oregon State 2-point favorites in the 4:30 kick on ABC. Bengals head coach Zach Taylor says Joe Burrow will miss the rest of the season with a torn ligament in his wrist that will likely need surgery. The team will stick with Jake Browning as the starter, with Deshaun Watson out for the season. ESPN reporting the Browns looking to add a third quarterback. They're bringing in Joe Flacco for a workout. Vikings receiver Justin Jefferson questionable with a hamstring injury Sunday night against the Broncos. Bears quarterback Justin Fields off the injury report and will start Sunday against the Lions. Ravens head coach John Harbaugh says tight end Mark Andrews is likely lost for the season after suffering a cracked fibula and an ankle ligament injury that will likely require surgery. On the hard court, the Blazers have lost 5 straight as they welcome the Lakers into Moda Center tonight for another in-season tournament game. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports. The Blazers are 8.5-point dogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with the sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Go deeper on the Trailblazers. The Rose Garden Report with host Sean Hyken. Download the Rose Garden Report on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
carried on by the illustrious Jeff Russ. Jeff Russ, get us going, buddy.
All right. Well, we've talked about it a couple times today. Number 11, Oregon State hosting number 5, Washington tomorrow in Corvallis. These are 2-point favorites. They have the edge in rush yards on the season, 1,969 to 1,259, but only a 24-22 edge in rushing touchdowns. 9 of those 22 for the Huskies coming in their last 3 games, 5 of them against USC. So, which team has more scores on the ground? The Beavs or the Huskies?
This is actually going to be closer than I think in that vein, but I'm going to go with the Beavs. Just because when all else fails, if it's on the 5-yard line and in, they'll run it 3 straight times. The 3rd straight time might be with DJ, but they'll run it 3 straight times. I think Jonathan Smith isn't going to mess around this weekend. The Beavs have been on the receiving end of some weird play calls. I think they might just go with the KISS acronym and keep it simple and hand it off to guys.
I'm going to go with the Beavs in this one because this is the season, like we always talk about in the NFL, like this is Tractorcito season where Derrick Henry heats up. This is where if your identity is running the football, you start heating it up. And if you look at the Beavs carries per game, they did not hit 40 carries, rushing attempts, in the first month of the season. In the month of October, they hit 40 rushing attempts 1 time. Both games in November, 46 carries against Colorado, 40 carries against Stanford. They're going to RTB, DB, run the damn ball.
Number 6, Oregon in Tempe. They're facing Arizona State. 1 o'clock kick on Fox. You can hear coverage here on the Fan starting at 7 a.m. Bo Nix, 6th in the nation in passing yards with 3,135. Knock on wood, nobody expects this game to be terribly close. So Nix, may get in a half, maybe 3/4. So more yards. Bo Nix passing yards. Oh, where'd my mouse go? Or Oregon total rushing yards.
Ooh, this one is a tough one.
I'll give you a little heads up here. They averaged 340 through the air and 200 through the ground on the ground. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
The safer play is Bo, but I'm gonna go rushing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bo.
Yeah, because you gotta wonder, is he gonna play just a half?
Yep, I'm still going Bo.
You know what though? He needs to put up some bonkers numbers because he's not going to get a chance for the Heisman moment until next week.
He's currently the favorite.
He'll still need to put up crooked numbers because other players are going to have opportunities too to have moments, which Penix is going to have one this weekend.
I've been burnt on this one before. That's why I'm going Bo.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with run, but I feel like maybe they're going to try and get him to put up some bonkers numbers.
Arizona State's defense is good.
Yeah.
People aren't talking about that.
With the exception of Utah. They've been
their defense is pretty damn good. They're 3rd against the pass, 6th against the rush for a team that has no business being that good. Middle of the pack.
Speaking of Utah, we've got another top 25 matchup in the Pac-12 this weekend.
What?
Relegated to an 11:30 kick on the Pac-12 network. Number 22 Utah in Tucson facing number 17 Arizona, who has won 4 straight over Washington State, Oregon State, and UCLA, who are all ranked at the time. And then, of course, Colorado, too. The Wildcats are 1-point favorites. Who you got, the Utes or the Cats?
Cats.
Meow.
Yeah. You got to be able to throw the football. And one thing that Arizona's done a phenomenal job of is they are making teams one-dimensional, and they are taking away what you do best. And I'm going to go with the Cats in this one.
I've been a big supporter of Fish. So I'm gonna ride that train.
Jed Fish, good football coach.
Number 3 Michigan on the road in College Park facing Maryland with number 2 Ohio State lurking next week. Ryan Day just 1-2 against the Wolverines as the Buckeyes head coach. And of course, Jim Harbaugh suspended the next 2 weeks. More likely to take down Michigan, Ohio State, or Jim Harbaugh.
Say that again.
Who is more likely to take down Michigan, Ohio State, or Jim Harbaugh?
I thought you were going to say the NCAA. That's why it caught me off guard. Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, honestly,
Jim Harbaugh. They're built to beat Ohio State.
Yeah,
that's how they don't care. Like when Jim Harbaugh started constructing this roster, it was to beat Ohio State first, win a national championship second.
Yes, because if you beat Ohio State, you have a chance to be there, and yada yada yada. What's interesting that's going to come out of that is whether or not Ryan Day hits the hot seat if Michigan, through all this strife and struggle, goes out there and kicks the crap out of him again.
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to move on to the NFL. Don't look now, but the Houston Texans trail the Jacksonville Jaguars by just one game in the AFC South. The Jags hosting the 3-6 Titans. The Texans hosting the 2-8 Cardinals. The Texans won the Week 3 matchup with the Jags in Jacksonville, and then they host them coming up in Week 12. Right now, who is your favorite to win the AFC South? The Texans
or
the Jaguars?
Ooh, that's tough. I believe in Lawrence, but man, Stroud's got me. I'm picking up what he's putting down. You know, you're talking about offensive lines and how bad some of the lines have been out there. The Jaguars are bottom 5 in both pass block win rate and run block win rate. Interestingly enough.
I will say at this point, looking forward, it looks like Jacksonville has the tougher schedule.
Yeah, but rookie quarterbacks, eventually something happens. I'm gonna go with the Jags. As good as I think Stroud is.
I'm going Stroud.
There you go.
I'm going CJ Stroud. Go Texans.
Alrighty. And this one, the 49ers and Seahawks sit atop the NFC West at 6-3. San Francisco snapped a 3-game skid with a rout of Jacksonville last week. Seattle has won 3 of 4. With that loss, it was a doozy to Baltimore. The two teams have yet to face each other. They meet in weeks 12 and 14. Your NFC West favorite, the 49ers
or
the Seahawks?
49ers still. It's still the 49ers. They are the more talented and complete team. That is not to take away anything from the Seattle Seahawks, but we've seen this story before play out with the 49ers. They have these lulls every single year, and then they get healthy, get right, and they're an unstoppable force. They have to make sure that they keep this up because, look, when you play to win the game, when you have the short week, this is going to be, mind you, that's a Thanksgiving Day game, right?
Yeah.
The 23rd? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day game, you have that short week between the Niners and the Seahawks. It's going to come down to that one. It's going to be a big one coming up, but the San Francisco 49ers, they are the superior team. They've got they do not have a divisional test. They get the Buccaneers kind of licking their wounds a little bit. Their Buccaneers defense is good. Up front, they're pretty damn good too. But give me Niners to win the division.
Yeah, also some little breaking news from Adam Schefter. The Seahawks are signing 41-year-old offensive tackle Jason Peters.
Not a good sign.
To their active roster.
Never a good sign.
Yikes!
I mean, they brought him in a while ago, and they were trying to ramp him up.
Yeah.
But,
well, it looks like they need him.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Alrighty, that's all I got.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Frost with awe on another illustrious Friday
Way
afternoon.
to go.
All right,
Way to go.
When we get back,
The big brain on Brad.
we will wrap up today's show and the week, looking ahead to the NBA in-season tournament, the Blazers, Lakers, and an NBA player moving to the bench.
Football too, man.
We'll tap it in there. We'll tap it in there.
Oh, come on. Football Friday, baby.
Basketball. Danny Dusty, Danny the Fan. road trips where they're playing teams that are very bad and won't be seen on TV.
Yeah, this is.
But it is an in-season tournament game.
This is the workaround that we're seeing with a lot of NBA teams. A lot of early season injuries. Guys are getting those nicks, those bumps and bruises, and then guess what? They're going to re-aggravate them at odd times of the year.
Yeah. Very
so
strange
weird
times.
how that's going to happen.
Yeah. Particularly on road trips, beginning and end, and against teams that aren't that good.
Yeah.
I'm curious over his, what, is it 21st season now?
Yes.
How many times has he actually played in Portland?
He has missed quite a few times in Portland. And, I mean, he's been in the East most of his career, so he only came to Portland once.
Right. So that's, we're looking at like maybe 5.
I want to say it's something like 6 or 7.
Anyway,
now,
point made.
That is going to now.
He's missed a bunch of games here.
Yeah. Well, missed or sat out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember, we know Christmas Day he was here when those
the dumb
idiots
fan
courtside
barked at the bear.
Not a good idea. Not a good idea. That was a bad life choice, and it backfired. Anytime the Lakers come to town, it's a great time to say F the Lakers. And I think it's a sentiment that all of Portland can agree on, especially you turncoats who go into that stadium wearing Lakers gear. It bothers me so damn much to see a game in Portland when the Lakers, now the Warriors, come to town and they're like, oh, all of a sudden you have all these jerseys coming out for the other team. Does not sit well for me.
Braun's career.
Not well for me.
Braun's career, he has played 20 total times in Portland.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I
Is
mean,
that including some playoffs?
Well, no.
Or has that ever happened?
No, they haven't played him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
Except maybe with
you
the
also have to
Raiders.
remember he's played in LA the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So
That
they've
bumps the
upped
numbers up a little bit.
quite a bit.
20 times? That
Yeah.
surprises me.
I think that sounds about right. And he's actually played in those games, like significant minutes.
So
Like, what are we looking at here?
If you go through the list, he played 03, 05, 06, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So early on, he played a ton.
Okay.
On the Cleveland days. And then it skips a year, then it skips a year, then it skips 2 years. And then there from 18 through 19, he actually played in 2018. He actually played here 1, 2, 3, 4 times because of the way the calendar fell. But none in 2020 or 2021. So there's some like chunks in here where he didn't play here at all. So
interesting.
Well, in 2020, weren't the Lakers supposed to come here at the end of the year and then, COVID?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I just figured it was a case where, he's certainly fine and healthy, and then all of a sudden.
Doctor said I need a backiotomy.
Yeah, that's right.
Giannis has missed a bunch of games here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the one that's hard to see. Joel Embiid has not played here,
Too
with the exception of this last one that they played here the end of last year.
Yeah, too many nights at the strip clubs.
Mary's will get you.
It's a sneaky one. If you end up at Mary's, it's definitely going to get you.
You're in for a good night.
No, you're not.
You're in for a good night.
You're careening into the side of the cliff at that point.
Something's going to get you, or you going to get something.
But in all seriousness, there is a very good chance that this is the last time that he plays at Moda.
Yeah.
So if you want to get out there and catch LeBron James in his 21st year, the oldest player in the NBA, and he may not play tonight, but there's a chance.
Well, adios, LeBron. I hope that hope we do get to see him again.
I do too. I'm dragging my corpse down there just on the off chance that we get to see him play because I want to see him play live one more time.
All right. Well, it's the in-season tournament.
It is.
It means more.
It does. It does. The red floor is coming out. It's red floor time.
Doesn't mean
I still don't like this is a tournament game. Tomorrow night is not. The next one is, and then your next two aren't.
Get your dumb American brain.
They've
used
got to
it.
do a better
hate it.
job of doing that. And honestly, when
Well, at least they let you know at the court.
they do, and that's on purpose. It is to differentiate.
It's like, hey,
The thing that they have to do going forward, and I think this is going to happen when they get 2 more teams, we're going to end up getting into like a true elimination bracket. When there's 32 teams, and you can do 16 on each side.
Just do single elimination.
Maybe not single elimination, but I think eventually, you'll see like true pool play.
scheduling nightmare.
I think honestly, that might be the way they break up the schedule. Is that they have tournament play for was it 34 games, or 24 games, and then they have regular season games for 58, and that's how they can alleviate some of the games played and have certain.
So if you're really good, you just lose early, and you're like, we are eyes on the prize.
I think they put them in the losers bracket, kind of a deal. That way, you still have to play the 82.
And again, scheduling nightmare at that point.
Yeah.
Like you have teams just lose. If you have 32, you're gonna have like
They'll have it all worked out. All imaginations.
Hey, you know what? I hope they do.
Basketball. Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. Who saw it coming?
Russell Westbrook, because he asked for it.
Yeah.
All right, Ducks, Beavers. Ducks down in the desert. I got make our picks. Well, Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. That one's
Beavs, Washington.
I'm gonna take the Beavs. I think they pull the upset and they cause chaos.
Yeah, well, I guess it's technically an upset, even though they're the favorite. But yeah, I'll say it, and they'll cover.
Yeah, I want to say Beavs, but the Huskies have been flirting with this the entire season.
It's how they go.
They're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
All right, and I hope that doesn't take away from how good Civil War is going to be. All right, up next, 4 hours of power, primetime. Isaac and Suk, have a great weekend. See you Monday on The Fan.
Bye.
It is undeniable, which means it can't be denied.
Time is money. At Lace, we understand that accidents happen when you least expect it. Lace has a special fast-track repair program for those who need it fixed